Hey, this is Corey Feldman, and you are listening to the Dave and Creech Show. Keep it right here.
This is the Dave and Creech Show, the only podcast where podcaster CJ Creech and actor Dave Sheridan come together to talk all things entertainment with your favorite entertainers. Want to ask our guests a question? Tweet them to @DaveSheridan or @CJCNOV88, and they may be asked to our guests live on the show. We do have to ask you stay seated during the podcast because this ride may get a little bit hilarious. Now here's your hosts, Dave and Creech.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Dave and Creech Show. I like how I went show. The Dave and Creech Show. We got a great episode for you today. Hey, guess what, everybody? It's episode 21. This is the one we should have made our drinking episode, right? 21. Gosh. We're legal now, man. We're legal in many states.
Exactly. We don't have any other numbers to look forward to until what? 50? Maybe the Midlife Crisis podcast at 35?
Oh, I think we can find things. There's a 25. 25 is like a reunion, right? You know what I mean? Like that's a golden reunion thing, I guess. I don't know what 25 is, but it's definitely a medal of some sort. Then 30. You got your 30-something. 35, I don't know why you would pull out 35.
Oh, no,
what's 35? Was there some sort of...
assuming that was probably around the time most people suffer their midlife crisis. I mean, yeah, granted, it's probably normally around 50, but I feel like probably people are celebrating it or going through it earlier now.
Okay, kid. Settle down here, all right? First of all, nobody celebrates a midlife crisis, all right? We live through it. We live through an enlarged prostate. Midlife crisis is when you get up out of bed 3 times in the night and you have to bend over a little bit to pee and it just trickles out, okay? And you start to feel your bad hip coming on. So you got an enlarged prostate, a bad hip, you have your deviated septum. It's the years of not, treating yourself that well starts to catch up. You get a little tennis elbow. That's midlife crisis, Creech. Not that I would know anything about it, okay? I'm not talking from any kind of professional point of view here, personal. Nothing personal here. I'm just saying, because you're right, that's probably around 50. I'm 48.
Well, I mean,
right?
I don't feel like a kid anymore. This past week was the 10-year anniversary of me graduating from high school. So I'm starting to feel a little older now.
Yeah, that's good. Did you have a 10th year anniversary party? Did people get together and say, oh my God, I don't recognize
not
you?
Not yet. I've been waiting to find out some information. There's people planning something. I have no clue, but our whole graduating class is kind of full of slackers. So, for instance, at our 5-year reunion, there was supposed to be some big get-together on the beach, and it was so unorganized that there was probably about 5 or 6 pockets down the beach where people were meeting, and nobody really met up. And so the group that I met was 5 or 6 people, and then we just sat out on the beach for a while and then just left. Nothing happened. So I doubt anything big's going to come from the class of 06.
Sounds like you got you crazy kids. First of all, let's break it down. So you ran into 5 or 6 people at the beach that you graduated high school with 5 years earlier. Did you know any of them?
Yes, I did. Actually, I knew everybody from the group.
Well, I would say you're calling your class a bunch of slackers, but honestly, nobody really gets together for a 5th-year reunion. I mean, that's we are guys. That would be hilarious, by the way. I think that's a really good idea for a high school movie is 1-year reunion. Have they done that yet? Where you graduate high school and then you have a 1-year reunion and it's sort of it's just another party, another graduation party, only 360 days later.
I don't think that's been a movie yet, actually.
It's these stoner guys that never got laid in high school, but the one guy worked out over the summer and he looks good now. And then the buddy goes, man, you know what? You're probably going to get laid next time some of the chicks from high school see you because you sprouted 7 inches and you put on all this muscle and you got that cool mustache now. And then he'll be like, well, why don't we hold a reunion? Why wait 10 years? Why don't we hold one this year? And then he'll be like, come on, boner. Nobody's ever had a 1-year reunion. And then there's a music montage and Danny DeVito's in there somewhere. And they're still too young to buy beer because they're only 19 years old. So that's when they realize it's going to be hard to have a 1-year reunion. That's like a full on party at like a hotel, room and stuff like that. So if they crash a wedding or they have to crash someone else's reunion. So they got to go to the class of whatever who's actually having a 10-year reunion, and they got to sneak everyone into the actual 10-year reunion, even though they're only, having their 1-year reunion. There's your, roughly that's the movie idea somewhere in there. And that could be a lot of fun. You know what I mean? A little TNA. It's like Porky's. It's that style.
Yeah, there's actually not that many that I'm noticing, at least commercially, many R-rated comedies like that right now. So it could be a potential gold mine if somebody takes that idea and runs with it.
Yeah, they should. Because I won't do anything with it. But yeah, the problem with, and then I poke my own holes in is like there's a sort of hole right now in the marketplace of high school aged stars that mean anything. And you have to mean something to the box office, so you'd have to figure out who the heck means something.
Probably would just be a bunch of former Disney stars. That's what usually seems to happen.
Yeah, it does. But it's kind of tough to coax them. Even after they've been off of Disney for 3 or 4 years, it's tough to convince them to do the rated R thing because, their moms are still their managers, and they think that there's this second chance that they're going to be on, like the kid from Kicking It Old School. He's freaking hilarious. Do you watch that show at all? I think his name's Reggie. I don't remember his name, but he was the brother in Hannah Montana. And so he had 2 good runs on a Disney show because he had, 6 or 7 years on Hannah Montana, and then the guy's another 6 or 7 years on Kicking It Old School. So, he plays Rudy on Kicking It Old School. I don't know what his character's name was on Hannah Montana, but he's a funny dude. We should get him on and see if he'll do a rated R butt-sucking movie the moment he leaves. That would be hilarious if that's his first movie choice right out of the gate, like after 20 years of Disney.
Yeah, that would definitely be outside of the normal box there. Oh, jeez.
We got to get my buddy on, my writing partner, good actor, Trevor Lasore. He has a funny Vin Diesel poker story. Remember, I think I told him in the first episode. Yeah, that's my friend Trevor. But it's better to hear it from him. We should just, you know what? I'm going to have him call in from now on once a week. We'll figure out a time for him. We'll get one story from Trevor.
Trevor's Tales.
You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of, yeah, Trevor's Tales. There you go. We got to broaden out our thing because he's a real working actor. In fact, he's doing a Nickelodeon movie, TV show today. He was sending me stuff. Apparently it's on its 3rd season. I don't know anything about it, but it was like Mickey, Dickie, Ricky, and Todd or something. It's like quadruplets or something. I don't know, some sort of show about 5 kids. Who knows? Anyway, he's playing some ice hockey guy.
Oh, that sounds like a nightmare. The 5 kids thing, not the necessarily ice hockey player.
Well, he doesn't have 5 kids. The show's about 5 kids, and they're supposed to be brothers or some quintuplets, but I'm sure they're not brothers, unless they really are brothers. That'd be funny. We did the intro, right? Let's get back to we got a really special show, a great guest, old friend of mine, new friend of mine, and a legend in the theatrical movie world. We're talking Goonies. We're talking Lost Boys. We're talking Stand By Me, Mr. Corey Feldman. That's right. He's going to be on to talk about his Goonies sequel, and he's going to premiere and give us the exclusive first sound listening of his new single, Go For It, which is a positive, upbeat fusion of rock, pop, rap.
Dubstep.
It's pretty cool. Oh, dubstep. I always forget about that one. I always think dubstep is like, I don't even know what that is. When somebody says, yeah, man, that's dubstep. I don't know if that's like some guy named Dub and he's stepping. It just sounds like it's like some sort of Scotch-Irish, like, some sort of like cultural dance they do up in the Appalachians somewhere on a piece of plywood with no teeth, Oh, yeah, he's a dubstepper. Those clogger guys?
Yeah. Yeah, dubstep's just another, to me, I mean, it's just kind of another version of techno. It seems like it's like the evolution of techno music.
Yeah, to the unevolved, untrained ear, Creech. Dubstep is actually a 3/4 type of beat with a house. It's like a house beat, but with a 3/4, beat, like, bar and stuff like that. And it was brought over from India by a guy named Dub from Dubai, actually. And that's where they got that name from. So dubstep, that's where it comes from. And he had a stump leg, but they called it dub leg, dubstep.
Oh.
I'm making all that up, as you know. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Wasn't even good.
Hey, hello, Mr. Feldman.
Hello.
You're on with Dave and Creech. How are you?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. What's happening?
Enjoying our Saturday afternoon here. You're a busy guy, though, obviously.
I am, Dave. I am.
I'm actually about to drop my kids off at the pool. So, where are you at, in Los Angeles there?
Wait a minute. What do you mean you're going to drop them off at the pool? Why would you drop your kids off at a pool? That could be very risky, very dangerous.
Oh, no, my wife's going to be with them.
Oh, I thought you were just going to throw them in some pool somewhere. That would be really bad.
Oh, no, it's like one of those community pools where, they hang out and it's fine. I think they'll be fine.
I think they scare you. I was always so scared, like even to go to like Vegas hotels and like be in the pools. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, my wife definitely hates public pools. You don't like public pools, right?
No, because like I always feel like there's like something floating in there that's gonna like end up in your mouth or something. It's like, ugh.
Oh, no, that's too much. Yeah, I mean,
I know.
I
always remember that scene from Caddyshack. Remember old school Caddyshack with like the floating duty? Like that's what I always think of. I think every time I go in a public pool, there's going to be a big piece of duty that's going to float to the surface and get in all my stuff. I don't know. It's kind of gross.
I like how but then he drained the pool and it was just a baby Ruth and then he ate it, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Because he was showing everybody there was nothing to be worried about.
Classic.
So and how's life?
Yeah, life's been good. I'm actually, when we set it for 6, I realized I had some family stuff I had to do. So I was like,
did you leave a bun in the oven?
No, we took care of that.
Okay, good.
We're done, man. We're done.
Yeah.
I got 2 kids. That's all I can have.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
You.
I think we know the medical science on all that.
I've done 1 kid, and I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's your son doing?
That's all you need. He's amazing. He's 11 years old now, and almost 12. He's running track, big track star now, and it's just great. I love it.
Because he's a tall. I remember meeting him.
Tall,
he's a tall 11-year-old, right? I mean,
yeah, you're right, man. He is. He's going to be huge. I've always told him he'll be taller than me by 13, which isn't like some huge feat because like I'm only 5'8.5". You know what I mean? So
right.
I don't have too much height, but he's gonna surpass me very early. He's got the genetics. Like his mom's parents. His mom's not a giant or anything, but his mom's parents. His grandma on his mother's side is like 6'3".
Jeez.
My father was 6'1", and his mom's father was 6'5". So there's a lot of tall men in his life.
Right, and women.
Yeah.
You just said grandmother, right? You said his grandmother was 6'4".
Grandmother is 6'3".
Yeah.
Scandinavian woman, big.
That's what I was going to say. That's Nordic. That's like a Nordic.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah.
The warrior.
She's a Viking type woman. And I believe she's a Jehovah's Witness, so she really is like a Viking. I think they came over in boats. I'm not sure, but something like that.
I love your song. I listened to it just before the podcast, and I love it.
Thank you.
I mean, first of all, I came over to your house 4 or 5 months ago, and you played me a whole bunch of music that you were recording for different various things because you don't just do one musical project. You have several musical projects going on. This particular single, now, is this with Corey and Corey's Angels, or what is this particular single?
Yeah, well, basically, let me give you the nutshell. So for the last decade of my life, I have been working on this album. And this album, and it's very interesting, it's not like the only thing I put out. Like you said, I work on multiple projects. So what happened was I started this solo album, 10 years ago with no concept. There was no Angels. I was married at the time, actually, with my kid. And, I wrote a song for my kid called Baby Blue Eyes. And I wrote a song for my ex-wife called For My Love. It was kind of like a little family album that I started. And then what happened was, while I was working on the album, I ended up, executive producing the Two Corys TV show, and that kind of distracted me. And then I went and did Lost Boys, The Tribe, and then after I finished those two projects, we started work on the second season of the Two Corys, and it was during the second season of the Two Corys that we had this, therapist lady, and she gave me this writing assignment to go write a song for my dad. And so I was like, okay, I mean, not for my dad, but to my dad, a message, kind of like a FU type song, getting out my anger or whatever, dealing with it. So I went and I did that as a writing assignment. And then after I wrote it, I thought, wow, man, this song is so good, but it's really Truth Movement, because that's my other band, which is more like a Pink Floyd thing. So I'm like, this is more like Truth Movement, and I think those guys would dig this. So I'm going to give this to them. And then once I did that, I was like, man, I'm in that mode now. I feel like I need to, write a whole album because it's just there. When something comes out of you so fast and it's, really good and you're like, oh, wow, how did I do that so fast? I need to do, 10 more just like it. So that's kind of what I did. And I wrote the entire next album in 3 months, and I got these guys from Pink Floyd to come join me, and, I got Pink Floyd's artist, and we did, this whole great album in, 3 months. Literally, it was the fastest I'd ever done anything. And then we toured for, 2 years because we did 2 different tours on it. One which was, a summer tour, and then we did this other thing called the Lost Boys Ball. So we were literally touring on that thing for, a year and a half. And then after that was done, I went and did Lost Boys 3, or, what was it called? The Thirst. And then, a couple more movies or whatever. And then I was like, oh, wow, I forgot. I started that solo album 5 years ago. I better finish it. So I went back in to try and start finishing it, and that's when I created the Corey's Angels thing. And then it was like, okay, well, let's just make this all one big promotional campaign for this new record. I'm just going to start it subliminally and very, very early so that everybody's not going to have any idea that when I'm throwing these parties, I'm really promoting a new album.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So after 10 years and all these collaborations, 22 songs later, I've got everybody on this album. It's such a great album. I'm so excited about it. Everybody, Snoop Dogg, Fred Durst, from Limp Bizkit, I can't even think of everybody on the album. Kaya Jones from Pussycat Dolls, Brandon Howard, just some great, awesome people. Doc Ice from Houdini, UTFO. I don't know if you remember them, but they're old school 70s pioneers of hip hop. But just some really great legendary people, and those guys from Pink Floyd are on the record too. Scott Page and John Karen, both from Pink Floyd. They're both on the record. So we've got a tribute to Corey Haim. It's just a great record.
I believe Scott Page, he may have a radio show on this channel, WRON.
He does have a radio show. As a matter of fact, he's been trying to get me on, and we have not been able to schedule the time. So I was actually planning on doing this with him, and then he kind of goofed up and forgot to call me. So he hit me. Oh, man, I'm so sorry. We the premiere, because he only does it on Thursday. So it was
there you go. The irony is, so I got Tom, the head guy that programs the music on the whole station. So I'm going to, he's going to start promoting the single, all week.
Well, we appreciate that.
Throughout the next month. Huh?
Because let me tell you, we really appreciate that, because this is a really interesting thing. I'm at this very strange point in my life where, I've done all this work. I put all my own money into it. It was obviously a labor of love, and it was my baby. I worked on it for 10 years, and it's finally done. Thank God. But the point is that, after so much time and energy and work, how do you get it out to the masses these days? How does this work? Because there's no record stores left, right? So what do you do?
Right.
You've got, all the blog radio, and you've got internet radio, and you've got podcasts. You've got all these outlets, but you don't really have record stores. So what we did is we said, you know what, let's just throw it out there like the old days. Let's do a good old record campaign and see how it works. So, I got a record pusher guy to go out there and do radio marketing and all that stuff. And it turns out we did the first single, which was called Everybody. Well, the first single was Essential Millennium. That was a video, and it took off. It got buzzworthy status on MTV after 12 hours, and then got seen by millions of people. It was talked about on Glee. It became this kind of pop culture thing. So after that, we put out another video, which was exclusive to this channel I was working with at the time, where we created a Corey's Angels talk show, and that was called Film On. And then after that, we went and pushed a real radio promotion for the third single, which was called Everybody, and that's the one that features Doc Ice. And that one made it all the way to number 13 on the independent digital radio charts, and it stayed there for 3 weeks. And I was like, okay, well, that's pretty cool, they pushed it out there, and people loved it, and, it got a great response. So then we did it again with the next single, which was called Remember 222, and that was a tribute to Corey Haim, my great friend, who's no longer with us. And I wrote the song for him, and it's a really beautiful song. It's fun. It's upbeat. It's a happy song. But anyway, so I did that, and that went all the way to number 1 on this one format called Lucky Star Radio, which is actually the one that I'll be doing, along with this one, because they've been very loyal. But anyway, so we went number 1 on their station, which goes all the way to Australia. So then it was like, okay, look, if we're doing so well on kind of the lower levels, if we had the real money to put into marketing like a record company does, and we could push it to the mainstream, like a record company would, because I am a label, but it's it's a lot of money to do this stuff. So I said, well, I'm going to give it everything it's got. I think that, this album is strong, and this new single is definitely got what it takes to make it to the top 40 on Billboard. So that's when I started my campaign, my Indiegogo campaign, where I basically reached out to the fans and said, hey, if you guys really are so excited about this project, prove it by showing me some support and making donations. And I created all these perks that are really cool and keep people interested and stuff. And as a result, we've raised $21,000 to go beat up the record companies, and then I guess that's it, to go beat up the radio stations and, try and shove the song down everybody's throat.
Right.
Because that's what
right.
we do. Yeah.
So that you're raising some of that money on Indiegogo, and it's a constant active Indiegogo, right? I mean, that thing is the flexible one where you could just keep it up there and keep raising money for it, right?
Well, yes and no. I mean, you could keep it up open-ended or whatever, but it's still a campaign where you've got to meet certain goals by certain points and stuff like that. But the difference is you do get to keep it. They give you that option. You can either, make it one of those where everybody chips in, and then if you make it to the end and you get everything, then you get to keep your money. And if you don't, well, then you're screwed and everybody gets their money back. But I was like, no, I can't take that risk. Especially because I was asking for a lot in a very little amount of time. Most people do these things and they're 3 months long, 6 months long. We did ours and it was 3 weeks. And then we ended it. We ended it and it was man, it really was picking up at the end. So maybe we should do another one. So that's when we decided to do a secondary one. And that one was supposed to end 2 days ago, but I just extended it for another 5 days. So it's actually still up and running. So if you or any of your listeners would like to go visit, it's Indiegogo.com, and it's called Elevator to Ascension 2, which is actually the numbers. And so it's ELEV 8, number 8, OR, Elevator 2, the number 2, Ascension 2 again. So it's kind of confusing. But, yeah, you can find us.
Corey Feldman making something confusing. Come on, man.
Exactly.
I don't believe it.
Or you can just go to like Facebook or Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at Corey_Feldman. There's like plenty of links there. Or go to my website.
We'll put the links. We'll put the links to that Indiegogo also on our Facebook and our all our different social media things as well, so that it shouldn't be hard to find the vine to that, because specifically you're talking about this money that you're trying to raise on those platforms is for the publication of the music, meaning getting it out there, because things to go to radio stations to get your record out, you need PR. You have to have platforms to put the stuff out on.
PR, but it's a tricky business. I don't do it. That's not my end of things. But it's kind of like you got to buy ads in these magazines,
right?
Like magazine and this magazine. This station and that station picked it up, and look how well it's doing, and it's getting X amount of spins a day. Don't you want to do this for your station? Kind of like look how cool our song is. It's doing so good. Don't you want to be part of the action? And that's really the taunting that they do to the other stations, so that all the other stations try and fall in line and pick it up. So when you're Clear Channel and you own every station, and it's got some big record company behind it, and they're pumping all the money into this campaign where it's like, hey, play this song, 50,000 times for us on all our stations, and we'll let in one of yours as a favor. You know what I mean? It's that kind of deal. But if you've got your own money, then it's like, hey, we'll take your money. If you want to try and get in line and play with the big boys, we'll take your money. Doesn't mean it's going to work, but it's worth a shot.
Right. Exactly. So now, what's the name of the single that we're dropping today? What's the one?
It's called today? Go For It, and it's a very positive song, upbeat song. It's a dance song for sure. As I said, it's a double album. So there's one disc, which is called Angelic Funkadelic, and that's to dance. And then there's the Angelic Rockadelic, which is to rock. So there's literally 2 CDs for whatever mood you're in, I guess. One is to dance, and it's got skits and stuff. It's kind of funny. The whole thing is a little bit tongue-in-cheek. We don't take it too seriously, but at the same time, it's good stuff. It's fun. So anyway, this song, Go For It, is, it's me and Snoop, and it's kind of like, I guess, kind of dubstep meets hip-hop meets pop, regular pop music. I guess that's the best way to put it. But very upbeat, high energy, and I don't think you can put this song on loud and not dance. It's one of those songs that even, like, white guys have to, like, bob around like a chicken. You know what I mean? You just got to do it.
Well, that's perfect, yeah. So, all right, let's go and play the song right now. Right, Creech?
Yeah. Cool. Go for it.
Get it. All she gotta do is twerk. Hit the club. Tell him. They try to beat you down. They put you on the ground. They leave you lying there. They're broken. Now they make it sound. No one will notice them. They jack your life again. They make you beg for mothers. Still nobody notice them. Just when you think it's all over, no hope and life, so what you gonna do? Every shot, thrive from explosion. So what have you got to lose? We got nothing to lose, so baby, let's go for it. Come on, let's go for it. We got nothing to lose, so baby, let's go for it. Come on, let's go for it. The diaries on the sky, ain't no bullets to hide. Go for it. No, we're not gonna stop until we reach the top. Go for it.
What you think there, Creech?
What do you think?
It was actually pretty amazing. I loved it. Like you said, I mean, you can't help but bop your head to it because the beat and actually have a really good voice.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, it's,
well, I like, yeah. I'm going to critique it a little bit. First of all, I thought it was way more hookier than I thought it would be. I think it, when you said it's the dubstep meets the hip hop meets pop, and it definitely has this. I mean, I've listened to a lot of your music, and they always have a bit of fusion to every one of them. You know what I mean? Like you're, and don't take this the wrong way. This is a compliment. You're a complicated person, Corey Feldman. You are. You're.
Well, thanks, Dave.
I think, you're enlightened. People, if people don't have an opportunity to get to know Corey, and they take you at face value and they see you from afar, there could be a lot of things that they could assume about Corey. But since I've gotten to know you and I know who you are, you're a complicated person, but because you're very smart, A, you're enlightened, B, and you really are sort of, what's the word for it? You have an antenna on that's taking in a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? You're able to be in touch with various levels of the earth. And so you have a transformer in you that's bringing all this information in, and because you're super smart, you can distill all that information, and you don't go Sid Barrett crazy on it. You know what I mean? And
right.
But at the same time, when you take in information like this as a human being that you are, and then you're transferring it into music, and you're your own radio station, you're broadcasting this out for you in terms of the universe's, a universe is making music through you, and you broadcast it out, and this is what this music is. It's almost your soul coming out in form of sound waves, radio waves, ultraviolet light waves, light waves. All of that stuff is how we project who we are. And so the song has a lot of layers to it, and it's sort of it's got fusion. And I think just like anything, when you watch a movie, you know how sometimes when you watch a movie and you go, oh, dude, you got to watch that movie again. And then you watch it the third time, and I got something else out of it. Your music is a lot like that. There's more to it than immediately on face value on that song.
That's right.
And
on every song, I focus on writing some sort of message in every song that I write. The reason music was created in the beginning was to uplift the spirit. I mean, that's what it's about. It's about uplifting the spirit. So if you're not going to have something in there that's either educational, thought-provoking, emotionally motivating, something to move you, then what's the point? I was going to say, if you look at the concept of the album overall, it's all about good and evil. I mean, that's really what this whole project is. It's good versus evil.
Right.
And, we do it in a bit of a tongue-in-cheek way with, sexy angels and all that stuff. But that whole concept is about judgment. It's about people thinking that they have the right to judge one another. And that's why I use these gorgeous girls, dressed all sexy in these angel lingerie outfits. Because the first thing people think is, oh, God, it's probably some sleazy thing, and he's prostituting these women, and, he's just awful, and that's what they think at first. But then when they really look at it, it's like, no, actually what we're doing is we're grabbing your attention and then introducing you to the fact that the women that we work with are all incredibly talented women. We don't work with girls that are just models. We work with girls that have skills. So Courtney, for example, she's the DJ. She is, a beautiful woman. She's incredibly talented, and she's a DJ. Not only that, but she's also a nutritionist. She works with people on health and diet and all kinds of stuff. She's a very good person, but she's very, very talented, and that's what makes her special, besides the fact that she's gorgeous, blah, blah, blah. But anybody can do that on the surface, but it's about what you have going on inside. And each girl that we work with Corey's Angels has to have a special ability, whether they're a musician, an actor, a singer, a dancer, whatever. That's kind of the protocol. So that's the whole object there is don't judge a book by its cover. And especially when it comes to me, because there's been way too many times in my life that, as you said, people kind of make their assumptions because they hear, fodder that's from the mainstream media that's been shoved down their throats. and, you know, they get this stuff spoon-fed to them their whole lives, and they don't know what to think, because it's like, oh, well, you know, I saw it on Celebrity Wife Swap, so that must be how he really is, or that must be what, you know, that's reality. And it's like, no, that's not reality. That's clever editing from, you know, network gumbos who want to try and, you know, for whatever reason, create, you know, their own version of reality, their own story, and they expect you to follow it. But that's just another form of entertainment, folks. That's not real. And that's the thing. People, they get confused between what's really real and what's entertainment.
Yeah. Going back to your song, how did you get Snoop Dogg involved on the rapping on it?
You know what? That's actually an interesting question. It's not. This is the only song on the album where we didn't do like a full, like, you know, what do you call, like a duet or like a collaboration in that way. What happened was Snoop and I talked several times, and, you know, he had expressed interest to me that he really wanted to do some music, and I really wanted to do some music. I was like, let's do this. He's like, let's do it. I was like, all right, cool. And then we like kind of made plans to get together a few times, and, you know, he flaked because he's Snoop Dogg, and, you know, he's, you know, kind of hit or miss, you know, but he's a really nice guy, but he's just very kind of hard to nail down. And so what happened was there was a particular song which is called Splickety Splickety, which I had originally wanted Snoop on. And that was, you know, like I sent it to him. I said, what do you think? And he said he loved it. He'd be honored, blah, blah, blah. Well, bottom line is we had a deadline in which to get this song done. And the deadline came and went, and we never got Snoop in the studio. So I was like, oh, man, we're not going to be able to do it. So I said, well, what's the next best thing to Snoop Dogg other than one of his, you know, very famous posse, the Dog Pound? You know, there's Corrupt. I mean, Corrupt is like his number 2 soldier kind of thing. So I went out to Corrupt, and I got Corrupt to do the song Lickety Splickety with me in lieu of Snoop's absence, basically, in lieu of him not being there. And so that was it. I was done, and I wasn't going to have a song with Snoop on the album. But then I ran into this, like, writer-producer guy named Mike Gonslin, who, you know, he actually came to me through one of the Angels. Said, you know, there's this producer guy, he really wants to cut a track with you, you know, he thinks you're really great, he loves your stuff, and, you know, he just wants to meet with you and talk about stuff. So I was like, well, the album's pretty much done, so I don't think there's really room to make any new music, you know, like, we're done. But we had 21 songs, you know, and he's like, well, just meet, she goes, just meet with him, you know, just see what he's got to say. So I was like, okay. So I went and I took a meeting, and at that meeting, he blows my mind because he's like, hey, look, you know, I got this demo that, you know, it's just like this dance thing, but it's a cool track, and it's got a rap from Snoop Dogg on it. And I was like, oh, really? Like, yeah, it's a work for hire. So we basically paid him for a day rate. He came in and he did this rap. And I was like, okay, well, let's hear it. So I heard it, and it was like, the hook for the song was great. Some of the music was really great. And they had Snoop Dogg. So I was like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I will rewrite this song, and we'll change the lyrics, we'll change the melody, change some of the music, but, you know, keep the spine of it together. And that became the song. So it's kind of like a merger of 2 songs that became one. And that's what you have. Let's go for it.
Interesting. Got it.
Yeah. So you never know how things happen in this business.
Yeah. And so this is obviously taken. So when I came and hung with you in January and you had a lot of this done, in the meantime between now and then, was it you just been releasing each one? It was already finished, or did you have to master still? I can't remember.
Oh, yeah. Well, like when I saw you when you were here, we were still in the mixing stage. So we had like, I think 4 or 5 songs left to mix, because every song I do, I use about 135 tracks. So, you know, you got to sit there and like pick the very best track out of each track. Like, you know, say there's like 10 guitar solo tracks. And then you got to, like, listen to every one of them and figure out, okay, which is the best one and for which parts. Because I might grab, like, you know, a second out of this one and then go get, you know, another 5 seconds out of another one and then, you know, kind of edit them together like that. So that's how it works. But it's a very long and tedious process. So, those were done at outside studios because I didn't have my own studio yet. But since I built my studio, we started with a song called Test One, and then a cover song of John Lennon's Working Class Hero, which is actually on this album, which I'm very proud of because that's one of the few tracks on the album where I actually play all the instruments myself. Which I've never done before, but, there's about, I think, 4 or 5 songs on this album where I actually just play everything. And that's pretty cool.
I remember that one very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? I just remember it sticks out in my mind that you gave a great vocal singing performance in that one. It was just... Thank you.
Yeah, it's a very personal song. It's something I've sang since I was a kid. And, I don't know, I could always relate to the words because it's like, I am a working class hero. That's what I am, Like, I'm not like some egomaniac superstar guy that runs around like, hey, I'm so cool, man. I'm like my, whatever doesn't stink. I'm the best, and I'm awesome and good looking. I'm just not that guy.
So you're referring to me. Like, are you? Wait, was that your impression of Dave Sheridan? I didn't know.
I was actually doing my best Dave Sheridan right now. That was me actually in that scary movie. I was doofusing it out right now.
So Creech, because Creech has been really quiet.
Yeah.
Right? Creech, what are you doing?
I've just been listening. I've been digesting all the information. It's been very informative.
If you knew the size of Creech, when he says digesting, that's a scary thing because it might be something that he's...
hey, now!
What? Creech is an ex-professional wrestler, but never went professional.
Yeah, right?
I see. An ex-professional wrestler that didn't make it to professional.
Yeah.
So you were an aspiring professional wrestler.
Yes. Yeah, that would be a good label right there.
He never got in the ring. He never even got in the ring. This guy was...
Yeah, I've gotten in the ring before.
Oh, you have?
All you got to do is get married, man.
I did that. I got divorced, too.
There you go. You've been in the ring once.
You've won and lost in life.
I actually got a couple of fan questions as well.
All right.
Anna Thomas wants to know, because I know in previous interviews you've talked about it, and you'd be down for a Goonies sequel, and most of the cast have said they'd be down, and even the director said it's not a matter of if, but when. What are your thoughts? Like, where would you like to see a Goonies sequel go?
Boy. Well, Sean Astin and I actually wrote a treatment for a sequel, because we got so frustrated, like the rest of the world. We see Richard Donner on TMZ, and he says, oh, yeah, we're working on a sequel. And everybody goes crazy. It's in Time Magazine, everywhere. Everybody, what? Goonies sequel? Ah! People lose their mind. And then nothing happens, right? And we're sitting there, it's like a year goes by, and nothing happens. And so I'm calling Dick's office, and I'm like, Dick, are we doing something, or are we not? Or, like, is this a big joke? Is it April Fool's Day? Like, what's the deal? And it's like, yeah, we're working on it. We just don't have the writers yet. And I'm like, what do you mean? How do you make an announcement like that? You don't have the writers. But, it's like, yeah, we've got a story. We've got something we really like and we're really excited. And, we're just trying to find the right writers for the project. I said, I thought Chris Columbus was writing it. Well, he's going to, oversee things, but he's not going to be like the main writer. Okay. So, everybody's waiting for this perfect script, and I think that's really what it's about. So it's not really me or the cast. It's like, Sean and I got together and we went, look, if they're trying this hard to try and find something, we're both writers, why don't we just write what we think our characters would be doing or, what kind of experience or adventure they would get into at this stage in life. So we did that. We gave it our best attempt, and, we got sent home with our walking papers. But we tried. No, it was really, I guess Dick has talked about it publicly. I heard recently he was speaking at USC, And the question came up, and he mentioned that we came in with a good pitch and that he really liked it. But he said, you know, it would have cost like $1 trillion. And that was the problem. They said no because it was too expensive. But, you know, it was a good attempt. And I'm like going like, what do you mean too expensive? You're talking about freaking Goonies 2. Like, you know, is any of the Star Wars movies too expensive? You know, was Titanic too expensive? Was Avatar too expensive? I mean, you know, when you've got a movie that has the world's attention, I say spare no expense. But that's, you know, it's not my wallet.
I agree that I mean, look, yeah, it's too expensive, $700 million to make. Yeah, but is $125 million or $150? I believe if there's something in that realm, then they're going to make their money back.
Yeah, we could have made it for that. Could have made it for that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what they want, to be honest. But all I do know is that it's got to be magic. It's literally got to be lightning in a bottle twice. Because at the end of the day, nobody can explain that movie. Nobody can explain why it became the new Wizard of Oz or, you know, Willy Wonka or whatever. Like, nobody knows why that happened. But I knew when I was on the set, this movie will go down forever in history. I knew it right then and there. This is going to be a thing of classic, a thing of legend. It's just, that's the way it's going to be. But when the movie opened, and a lot of people don't remember this, I did a Goonies event actually last week. And I actually said this in front of a whole, you know, audience of Goonies fans and also some of the people who worked on the film. And I said, look, you know, when the movie came out, it wasn't like the biggest movie ever. As a matter of fact, it was number 3 for the summer. Number 3. And number 5 for the year. So it was number 1, you know, for a couple weeks or whatever, maybe a month or two, but it wasn't, you know, giant blockbuster. The giant blockbuster that year was Ghostbusters. And, you know, now you look at the legacy of those two films. Sure, well, they just made a remake of Ghostbusters. You can't make a remake of Goonies. But they made a remake of Ghostbusters, which I think is a terrible idea personally and looks awful to me, but that's beside the point. But, you know, a movie like that, it's like, okay, you don't see people growing up and going, like, hey, we all called each other, like, you know, Dr. Venkman and, you know, whatever the other characters. You know, I mean, it's just like, it doesn't have that effect. I mean, even, you know, Steven's most popular movie in the world, E.T., you know, you don't hear fans saying, like, you know, I grew up and, you know, I was Gertie and my brother was Elliot and we ran around doing, you know, it's just, it's a different thing. It's like for some reason, Goonies captured this part of children's imagination that even though it wasn't the biggest movie in the world at the time, through the years, it has gained so much lure and so much nostalgia attached to it that it just became like a beast of its own. And now it is the most popular family film in the entire Warner Brothers catalog, which is crazy because they own Wizard of Oz and Willy Wonka.
Would you guys ever be opposed to doing it as a sort of Pixar animation? You know what I mean? It's like the characters sort of animated. I
mean, I think that was an idea. You know, Donner had that idea too for a while. He was kicking that around, the idea of like, you know, doing like a Cartoon Network Goonies show or something.
Right.
Which, you know, of course I'm down for, but again, I don't think they'd use me for that. You know, that's, you know, get any kid's voice, I think, you know, but I think, you know, what the fans want to see more than anything, and this is where, you know, as far as I know, this is where the magic, you know, lies, is the fans want to see this particular group of people that they grew up with, they fell in love with. They want to see that particular group of people as adults, grown up, and, you know, whatever's going on in their lives today and coming up with some kind of an adventure that's worthwhile for everybody to do it again. And that's really that's the recipe. You know, how do you find that? What is that perfect recipe? What's a cause that's worthwhile to get everybody back on board? And it's a tough one. I mean, it's a tough one because you don't want to go too big. I agree with Dick, because if you do go too big, it becomes hokey. And we've all seen what happens with $300 million, studio ridiculousness where, the whole thing does become a cartoon. I mean, it literally is a cartoon. It's so much special effects and CGI, and then it's like, that takes the magic out of it. So you can't do that. But then you also can't go too small because nobody wants to see on Goonie Pond or something, you know what I mean? Like, it's got to be, like, right in the middle.
Right. Well, listen, man, good luck with everything, but thank you so much for coming on the show. Good luck with the album and the new
thank
single.
You for the support.
Play it
I truly
here.
appreciate it.
Pleasure meeting you.
All right.
All right, guys. God bless.
Actually episode 21 to our original podcast listeners, but is this episode 2 on WROM radio?
This is episode 2.
All right.
And episode 1 went off obviously without a hitch. We didn't get kicked off the air, so obviously we're doing something right, and we didn't offend too many people.
Yeah, because the guy said, just don't get me arrested, right? That's what he fucking said. I remember he fucking said, just don't get me arrested. And I said, can I say fuck? And he said, just don't get me arrested. So I said, can I say shit? He said, just don't get me arrested. So I said, can I talk about a penis in an ear coming through someone's mouth? And he said, just don't get me arrested. You should beep all of that.
Yeah, I will have to. And what's
I don't
funny
want to get
is
him arrested.
Yeah, because it's funny because, like, when I was going through the stuff with China, we talked about the whole her partaking in the gangbangs, and it's like, do I have to censor gangbangs or not? Like, is that radio friendly? But I was like, let me just censor it just in case.
Okay.
So, well, I mean, the reason I didn't send really too many, or actually any news this week is because I figured just us chatting will be enough to fill up the time.
So what are we talking about here?
One of the things we're talking about is your new friend, Ryan Colucci.
Ryan Colucci is not a new friend. I mean, we've been friends for quite a long time. I think I met him in 2009 at an Alcoholics Anonymous. I was just there delivering coffees and pastry. Ryan was drunk off his ass, trying to get himself sober and find Jesus. Together, though, we had one thing in common. We both drove Toyota Tercels with left-handed smoke shifters. That's when we struck up a real good friendship. And from that moment on, we became producing partners and started making movies. And I acted in a movie of his called White Space. It's about a little tiny guppy space creature in space, but an even smaller ship. It could be that, you never know. I mean, we look like regular humans, and the thing looks like a really giant monster in space. But what if it was a really, 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 really tiny monster, and we were even tinier and tinier? It wouldn't make a difference because you're in space. So, like, the reference of how big you are at that point doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Because you're not on a planet.
Then again, what if it's all just a dream?
Yeah, it could be. Could always be. Bob Newhart could wake up at the end and he could be having a dream. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we're going to have Ryan Colucci on as well. So this is sort of a first having two guests on. But Ryan is running a really cool Kickstarter campaign. It's going to expire in like 4 days. And I just want to help him try to get to that goal because I'm also helping with the movie. It's a very cool hand-drawn animated, I wouldn't want to call it a cartoon, it's a hand-drawn animated feature film. We're, at this point, just doing the short film. The feature film is going to cost a lot more money, but he's raising some money to do the short film. I'll play the lead of the voice of the lead and the lead of the voice. And then we're going to cast a few other actors, and we're going to have this cool little short made.
How long will it take you then to make the short? How long will something like this take?
It will be done December 1st, without a doubt. That includes, I budgeted a month scheduled a month to do all the rewards. Because a lot of our rewards are personalized artwork.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously we can't be animating while we're doing personalized artwork because animation is drawn. So I scheduled a month to handle all that. There's no way it's going to take longer. than a month to do that stuff. So, we'll be done in a month, and we'll do that at the tail end. So if we finish, the way you schedule animation is by the frame. So everything is down to the frame almost. There's a chances we finish early. Every time I schedule something, I put a huge pad in. It's just smart that way. So there's a chance we finish much earlier, and then we start doing the art commissions even sooner and get everything out even earlier. But everything will be out for Christmas, so people have stuff for the holidays.
Well, speaking of movies that either you or I are involved in, they are almost done editing Strip Club Massacre. The film itself, for those who want to buy it on DVD, are available for pre-order. You can get a signed copy for $25 off the Real Bloody website. I'll make sure.
Who the heck's signing it? Who's signing it?
The actresses like Aaron Brown and Courtney Riggs, Alicia Watson. I think most of the main cast will be signing it. Maybe
nothing against those women. They're very good-looking chicks, but I don't give a shit about their handwriting. I'll buy the DVD, but don't ruin the DVD by putting on your magic marker or silver permanent ink over the artwork. So right now you're saying they've released the artwork that will be on the DVD. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
But I wouldn't say it's the final poster. They might do another little tweak or just a chick just for their Twitter, because you want to constantly put out something new with the Hawthorne effect. You know what the Hawthorne effect is?
I don't.
I can't tell you what it is. I have to kill you.
Oh, well, I definitely am enjoying my life right now, so let's not kill me.
Good.
I can always just Google, machine it up, and see.
Couldn't you, Mr. Google, Mr. Smartass? Yeah, you could. You should. That way you're learning something on your own. Not me feeding all you this. The young kid, giving him knowledge every week for his 5th anniversary. I'm going 5 years strong. Going to my 5-year reunion. And how do you know they're doing a 10-year reunion? You said,
Well, because they've been talking about it. They added me to some group on Facebook.
Okay.
On Facebook, yeah, like I was added to some group and they voted for like a person to plan it, but I haven't really been involved with it because I've been busy doing everything, other things, living my life, and I haven't seen anything new from them in a while. I think last I heard they were still trying to set something up, but I don't even know. In 2011. The halfway mark, they were like, oh, let's do a cruise, and then nobody wanted to do that, so I don't know what they're going to do. Apparently there's probably going to be some big cookout, since pretty much everybody from our graduating class has kids now, and it was a huge graduating class, so it's probably going to be just at a freaking playground.
A playground? Who the hell has a 10th anniversary at a playground?
Apparently we do. The class of 06.
So rock and roll. I love you, Creech. Thank you very, very much for everyone for having us. You have been listening to the Dave and Creech Show. That was an amazing episode talking to Corey Feldman, whatever you want to say. I cannot wait until the Goonies 2 comes out. Summer 2017. That would be awesome. I think it's going to happen, man. All you have to do is put it out there. And I'm speaking to everyone out there.
Exactly. Just follow the Goonies motto: never say die.
Never say die. That's right. And Ryan Colucci, thanks for catching up. We're actually going to have a full interview with Ryan on the next podcast. This one we really just wanted to kind of have an abbreviated interview with Ryan to chat about his Kickstarter campaign that, as of tonight, has 7 days left. When this thing airs, it might be 3, maybe 4 days. So please go check it out. It's called Orient City. It's on Kickstarter. It's a very cool project. It's projects/R Colucci /orient-city-a-hand-drawn-animated-film. Ryan, I think you made a really long title there for your address. Hopefully it works out, buddy. Rock and roll. Everyone else, see you next week, right?
Yeah. We'll see you either next Thursday or next Saturday.
Yeah, we never really see anyone, by the way. We're talking to microphones, but we just say that.
Exactly. It just sounds better.
It's all one directional. We're actually doing all the talking, so it's not like we're listening to them next week either. So to all of our fans and listeners out there, we'll talk to you next week.
Shut up and sit down.
Thank you for listening to the Dave and Creech Show. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of Dave and CJ. These views and opinions do not necessarily represent those of Creech Creative Productions or any of its affiliates.